I don't blame you, dear, she assured Harry, tipping 8 or 9 sausages onto his plate. Arthur and I have been worried about you too. Just last night we were saying we'd come and get you ourselves if you hadn't written back to Ron by Friday. But really, she's now adding 3 fried eggs to his plate. Flying in a legal car halfway across the country, anyone could have seen you. She flicked her wand casually at the washing up in the sink, which began to clean itself, flicking gently in the background. It was cloudy, Mum, said Fred. Keep your mouth closed when you're eating, Mrs. Weasley snapped. They were starving him, Mum, said George. And you? But it was a slightly softened expression when she started cutting Harry's bread and buttering it for him. At that moment, there was a diversion in the form of a small red-headed figure in a long night dress who appeared in the kitchen, gave a small squeal and ran out again. Ginny, said Ron, in an undertone to Harry. My sister. She's been talking about you all summer. Yeah, she'll be wanting your autograph. Harry grinned. Fred, but he caught his mother's eye and bent down over his plate without another word. Nothing more was said until all plates were clean, which took a surprisingly short time. Blimey, I'm tired, yawned Fred, setting down his knife and fork at last. I think I'll go to bed, Anne. You are not, snapped Miss Weasley. It's your own fault you've been all up that night. You're going to do gnome the garden with me. You can go up to bed, dear, she added to Harry. You didn't ask them to fly that wrenched car. But Harry, who felt wide awake, said quickly, I'll help Ron. I've never seen you gnoming. That's very sweet of you, dear, but it's still work. Now, let's see what Lockhart's going to say on the subject. And she pulled a heavy book from the stack on the mantelpiece. George groaned. Mom, we know how to gnome a garden. Harry looked at the cover of Mrs. Weasley's book. Written across it in fancy gold letters were the words, Gilderoy Lockhart's Guide to Household Pests. There was a big photograph on the front of a very good-looking wizard with wavy blonde hair and bright blue eyes. As always in the wizarding world, the photograph was moving. The wizard, who Harry supposed was Gilderoy Lockhart, kept winking cheekily up at them all. Mrs. Weasley beamed down at him. Oh, he's marvellous, she said, and he knows all of his household pests. All right, it's a wonderful book. Mum fancies him, said Fred in a very audible whisper. Don't be so ridiculous, Fred, said Mrs. Weasley, her cheeks rather pink. All right, if you know better than good Lockhart, then you can get on with it. And it won't be tidy if there's a single gnome in the garden when they come to expect it. Yawning and grumbling, the Weasleys slouched outside of Harry behind them. The garden was large, and in Harry's eyes, exactly what a garden should be. The Dursleys wouldn't have liked it. There were plenty of weeds and the grass needed cutting, but there were gnarled trees all around the walls. Plants Harry had never seen spilling from every flower bed, and a big pond full of frogs. Muggles have garden gnomes too, you know. Harry told Ron as they crossed the lawn. Yeah, I've seen those things they think are gnomes, said Ron. Bent double with his head in a peony bush, like fat little Father Christmases with fish and wogs. There's a violent scuffling noise. The peony bush shuddered and Ron straightened up. This is a gnome, he said grimly. Get off me, get off me. It was certainly nothing like Father Christmas. It was small and leathery looking, with a large, knobbly, bald head, exactly like a potato. Ron held it at arm's length, and as it kicked out at him with its little horny feet, he grasped it around the ankles and turned it upside down. This is what you have to do, he said. He raised the gnome above his head. Get off me! And started to swing it in great circles like a lasso. Seeing the shocked look at Harry, Ron added, it doesn't hurt them. You've just got to make them really dizzy so they can't find their way back to the gnome halls. He let go of the gnome's ankles. It flew 20 feet into the air and landed with a thud in the field over the hedge. Pitiful, said Fred. I bet I can get my beyond that stump. Harry learned quickly not to feel sorry for the gnomes. Pitiful, said Fred. I bet I can get mine beyond that stump. Harry learned quickly. He decided just to drop the first one he caught over the head, but the gnome, sensing weakness, sank its razor-sharp teeth into Harry's finger, and he had a hard job shaking it off until... Wow, Harry, that must have been 50 feet. The air was soon thick with flying gnomes. See, they're not too bright. The moment they know the denoming's going on, they storm up to have a look. You'd think they'd have learned by now, just to stay put. Soon, the crowd of gnomes in the field started walking away in straggled lines, their little shoulders hunched. They'll be back, said Ron as they watched the gnomes disappear into the hedge on the other side of the field. They love it here. That's too soft of them. He thinks they're funny. Just then, the front door slammed. He's back, said George. Dad's home. They hurried through the garden and back into the house. Mr. Weasley was slumped in a kitchen chair with his glasses off and his eyes closed. He was a thin man going bald, but the little hair he had was as red as any of his children's. He wore He was wearing long green robes that were dusty and travel-worn. What a night, he mumbled, groping for the table as they all sat down. 9 raids, 9! An old mundungus Fletcher tried to put a hex on me when I had my back turned. Mr. Weasley took a long gulp of tea and sighed. Find anything, Dad? Said Fred eagerly. All I got was a confused, shrinking dog and a biting kettle, yawned Mr. Weasley. There was some pretty nasty stuff. That wasn't my department, though. Mortlake was taken away for questioning about some extremely odd ferrets, but that's the Committee on Experimental Charms, thank goodness. Why would anyone bother making donkeys shrink? Said George. Just muggle baiting, sighed Mr. Weasley. Sell them a key that keeps shrinking to nothing, so they can never find it when they need it. Of course, it's very hard to convict anyone because no muggle would admit their key keeps shrinking. They'll insist they just keep losing it. Bless them, they'll go to any lengths to ignore magic, even if it's staring them in the face. But the things our lot have taken to enchanting, you wouldn't believe. Like cars, for instance. Mrs. Weasley had appeared, holding a long poker like a sword. Mr. Weasley's eyes shone open. He said guiltily at his wife, "Could cars money, dear?" "Yes." "Or cars," said Mrs. Weasley, her eyes flashing. Imagine a wizard buying a rusty old car and telling his wife all he wanted to do with it was take it apart to see how it worked, while really he was enchanting it to make it fly. Mr. Weasley blinked. Well, dear, I think you'll find that it would be quite within the law to do that. Even if he would have done better to tell his wife the truth. There's a loophole in the law, you'll find, as long as he wasn't intending to fly the car. The fact that the car could fly wouldn't. Arthur Weasley, you made sure there was a loophole when you wrote that law, shouted Mrs. Weasley. Just so you could carry on tinkering with all that muggle rubbish in your shed. And for your information, Harry arrived this morning in the car. You weren't intending to fly. Harry, said Mr. Weasley bluntly. Harry who? He looked around, saw Harry and jumped. Good Lord, is it Harry Potter? Very pleased to meet you. Once told us so much about you. Your sons flew that car to Harry's house and back last night, shouted Mrs. Weasley. What have you got to say about that? Did you really? Said Mr. Weasley eagerly. Did it go all right? I mean, he felt it as sparks flew from Mrs. Weasley's eyes. That was very wrong, boys. Very wrong indeed. Leave them to it, one muttered. Come on, I'll show you my bedroom. They slipped out of the kitchen and down a narrow passageway to an uneven staircase. up through the house. On the third landing, a door stood ajar. Harry just caught sight of the pair of brown and was staring at him before it closed with a snap. Ginny, said Ron. You don't know how weird it is for her to be this shy. She never shuts up normally. They climbed 2 more flights until they reached a door with peeling paint and a small plaque on it saying Ronald's room. Harry stepped in. His head was almost touching the sloping ceiling and blinked. It looked like walking into a furnace. Nearly everything in Ron's room seemed to be a violent shade of orange. The bedspread, the walls, even the ceiling. Then Harry realised that Ron had covered nearly every inch of the shabby wallpaper with posters of the same 7 witches and wizards, all wearing bright orange robes, carrying broomsticks and waving energetically. Your Quidditch team, said Harry. The Chudley Cannons, said Ron, pointing at the orange bedspread, which was emblazoned with 2 giant black seas and speeding cannonball, 9th in the league. Ron's spellbooks were stuck untidily in a corner. Next, a pile of comics, which all seemed to be feature the adventures of Martin Miggs, the Mad Muggle. Ron's magic wand was lying on top of a fish tank full of rogue's spawn on the windowsill. Next, his fat grey rat, Scabbers, was snoozing in a patch of sun. Harry stepped over a pack of self-shuffling playing cards on the floor and looked out for the tiny window. In the field far below, he could see a gang of gnomes sneaking, one by one, back through the Weasley's hedge. Then he turned to look at Ron, who was watching him nervously, as though waiting for his opinion. It's a bit small, said Ron quickly. Not like that room you had with the muggles. And I'm right underneath the gown in the attic. He's always banging on the pipes and groaning. But Harry grinning widely and said, This is the best house I've ever been in. Ron's ears went pink. The end of chapter 3. Bye bye.